All right, this video goes out to Arafat Baksh, and I did a video for him the other day, and basically, he's just starting off, so just to recap, he's just starting off with Tableau and he's been learning it, and he sent me a dashboard which is on this Tableau makeover video I did, and it was pretty good, for a beginner and just learning kind of how it all works because it's so much more than just putting visualizations up. It's, having a story, having a flow, understanding how the audience actually does their questioning. So for example, you're going to show them a visualization. That's going to kind of create some questions of like, well, how come that one's higher? How come that one's lower? And how come that one's, really far off and scatter plot? And then you need something to support that question to take them on a journey, right? So we kind of went back and forth. I did a video showing kind of my version of it to just kind of show the direction. He took that and now he's made this one, right? And it's really good, right? And I'll show you why. So he used Superstore. Superstore sales in the USA has experienced impressive increase of 15% in sales over the last 4 years. So the great thing about this is here's what we're talking about, right? So we've got massive sales. That's fantastic. Now in the subtitle it goes, even though sales have increased, so have return of products. So he's showing, okay, this is where we need room for improvement, right? So one of the things that I was told ages ago, like a long, long time ago, it's called a asterisk sandwich, right? It's a sandwich. And the idea is you say something good, say something bad, and then say something good, right? And it's kind of a way of delivering bad news a lot of the time. So it kind of reminds me of that. So you go, yes, sales are good. However, there's some room for improvement. So now you're kind of getting into the emotional side of visualizations, right? Which is when you put a visualization up, it creates an emotion. And if you're saying this to a team who are in charge of sales and you don't say this first part, it's going to be a bit hard for them to hard for you to get buy-in because if you're going to go up to them, you're going to be like, listen guys, there's a lot of returns, what are we doing, it's nice to say, hey, we're doing really great in this, we're doing 15% sales over the last 4 years, fantastic guys, let's keep this up. Now I've identified one other area for improvement that it can make us even better than before, and it kind of gets that positivity in the visualization. So this is the part that is kind of the intangible of Tableau, that you can actually control emotions and create positive direction, but it can also do the opposite as well if you're not careful. So that's all part of the training. Now, getting back to this, analysis indicates that out of the four regions, West has the worst sales return performance, right? This has offset the national average, national level performance 2.96 against the target of, right? Fantastic. Fantastic. Because then now we're like, okay, now we know what we're going to work on. So in this first visualization, we can see, I think this is the West, right? And we can see clearly from the stats that the West is not going very well, right? They're having 5% or almost 6% returns, right? Compared to the others. So that's like 3 times greater. So me, let's say as a manager, I'm just like, wow, we need to talk to the West and figure out what's going on. That's my first question. Well, what is causing the 5.9, right? And I can see that it's actually Utah giving the worst. So I can actually do some sort of strategic management or some prioritization, or I just call up Utah. Hey guys, listen, we just saw the latest stats. Do you guys need assistance? What is going on, right? Or we can go a bit further. You can be like, what's going on in Utah? Right? So when I'm designing, these are the questions that are coming up when I see a visualization. It's like, if I'm a manager, here's what I want to do. If I'm a analyst, here's what I'm thinking about, right? So let's say if I'm an analyst point of view, I'm like, all right, this 847, what are they? So we can actually get some more data to figure out what's causing it. Is it one thing? Is it multiple things? Is it in their control? Is it somewhere else? Whatever, right? So from here, let's say we're not looking at Utah specifically. Let's just say, okay, out of the whole region, what area is really struggling, right? So I can see from here, he's got percentage of returns, right? And then sales. Now, while sales is really good, returns is not good, right? You want this as low as possible. So we can see envelopes here, they're not returning, which means the quality is probably pretty good, right? And you're probably not going to get any faulty envelopes. That's probably rare. But here, when we're looking at machines, it's significantly higher. It's 2% higher than the next one, which again, it helps me prioritize because I'm just like, well, let's talk about machines. What's going on? How come it's so high? And if I click on machines, right? This is where the interactivity really helps in telling your story. Because in the past, when we only had Excel or PowerPoint, you would basically have to try and figure out every question that they had, and you'd have to create a visualization separately for every single one of those questions. And the problem is you can never really predict everything they're going to ask. So the meeting would always kind of come to a standstill where they're like, all right, let's get more data and meet next week. But with Tableau, with tools like this and builds like this, you can get straight into the strategy of what you're trying to do. This is the true power of business intelligence, right? Not having to wait and to get more data because everything's here. And personally, this is kind of how I run our meetings, how we run our operations. When I do builds for clients or people or whatever, this is what they want to see because they want to know, what do we need to actually do to fix this? It's not enough just to say, here are the stats, you know? Because now with machines, let's have a look. I can see just from experience, these are all the same size, which means they all have the same value, right? um, Based on the size you use. What actually it may not be true because I can see here sales return. Maybe I can get my drawing tool. Sales return value is 102 here, but each one's actually different. So maybe I would like that resized based on the sales return value, right? Um, Slight change, but then I can see maybe if I just hover, there's one here that's like 2.3K. I'd probably start there going, what's going on with this batty card printer or something, right? Um, I go, let's go have a chat. And then the idea is we go have a chat, we fix it, the stats improve, the machines, let's say, disappear, right? Let's say it disappears like so. Then we can focus on the next one. All right, let's look at the tables. What's going on with tables? And that's kind of how the cycle would work. The other thing I would recommend is you have a lot of space here that you can really use, right? You can really capitalize on. You can add a lot of things. If you needed to. And I do like that you've put some spacing here. That's really good. I don't like it when it's so squashed. I hate that. You can make this even bigger. With this, I like to think of it as like a newspaper article. It's like, you know, like massive text of just like eye-catching, right? You can get the eyes to go there directly and go, okay, this sets the tone for what we're about to talk about, right? Before they get into the data. One other thing, maybe I would change this. I think this is already red black scale. I like that because these ones, like, we're not having to worry about. This one I'd probably change to a red black using the percent of returns as the scale. Um, and probably the scale I would add as well. Like, you can add a color scale here to say what the colors actually mean. Just because I don't know what these mean. I think that it's like a two-tone color split of just the hires because the little ones are just gray, you know, something like that. What else? That's probably it. Apart from that, I'd love it. What usually happens next is this, right? You would get this one as the starting discussion. So let's say this is your first meeting with the client. They go, that's interesting. All right, here's what we need to do for the next one. So what would happen is if let's say this was that machines one, I would have to create a whole nother visualization just for machines to track machines. Because now we're going, let's focus on machines, let's get that fixed, and let's track how it's going as we're fixing it. Okay, so then that would become your next dashboard, right? So you're kind of letting the client dictate as well what your next visualizations are. Sometimes you can see that ahead of time, sometimes not. Depends on the project, depends on your skill, right? It all kind of just comes together. So I'm going to leave it at that. Again, great work. Um, if anyone else has anything you want me to review or have a try or do a visualization on or something like that, I'd be happy to do it. It's very, very fun. And then we can kind of go back and forth and do it. So that's it. Leave me a comment if you want to do that and have a good day.